Yes.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Fellowship of the Golden Age. And with me today, I have Mirangel, but also you like to be called Angel, don't you?
Yes, I go by Angel. Yeah.
Okay, this is Angel. um, yeah. So, and I also have my middle name is an angelic name actually. It's Peniel. So,
I like that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I used to I used to think I was an angel. Like I didn't really have any, what's the word? I didn't have like, the teachings that we've been given to, to be able to make sense of coming from somewhere else, like
Mhm.
higher realm. And yeah, so for me it was just, okay, well I was an angel then and I came to earth.
Got it. I've had similar thoughts
Yeah,
at a younger age. Yeah. Yeah. I've
okay.
had quite some experiences early on. Um,
Go.
yes.
Do
Oh,
share. Yeah.
yeah. um, yeah. So I've always had, so I grew up in a Jehovah's Witness family.
Okay, yep.
And I've always had what you will call like paranormal experiences. So it's like I would see things, I would feel things, I would feel like I was trying to vibrate, like I would be vibrating a lot it would be like 2 seconds, I would say 2 seconds, probably like 30 seconds after I lie down, then it's like I'm shifting. And it would happen every single night for, I would say, I don't know, good 15, 17 years, every single night. And I started asking questions, and to the point where I was afraid to lie down. I would sit on a chair all night because as soon as I lie down, I would have these experiences. And there was one night I was sleeping next to my mother because my dad would travel a lot, so I would just snuggle next to my mother. And it's like I see her lying there, and I'm like, I'm talking to her, but I feel like I could see other things that they're kind of like different in addition to my normal surrounding. I was probably, I don't know, maybe like 12.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to shake her. And then she's like not responding. And I was so confused. And I had like so we had a dresser in the room back home in Haiti. And I had like removed my clothes and put it on like one of the doors, and it kind of turned into like smoke, just like big smoke, and then there was like some being, like it turned into some being, but it was also real, and then I was trying to shaking my mom, like look, but she wouldn't respond, and then it's kind of I kind of snap out of it, and it was like all gone. And it would happen over and over again. Then I moved to the States when I was or 17,
Hmm.
and it's intensify like a whole other level. And then so I started talking to the elders in the congregation. They're like, "Oh, Satan is doing that to you," and I started having like,
Sorry, did you say Satan?
yeah, they said Satan is doing that to me.
Yeah, okay.
The
That's
devil.
helpful, isn't it?
Oh my God, I'm probably one of the best witness you could, because I was so sincere and I really believe in anything, even though some things never really add up. And I start asking questions. I'm like, nope. They tell me I have to believe this, and they make you believe like it's in your head. So even though you have doubt, it's okay to have doubt, but then you have to believe this is the absolute truth. So you just have to come around and believe it. And it started intensifying, and I would start like manifesting with my thoughts. And it was mind blowing. Like, and it was out of nowhere. I started like thinking about things and things manifesting. both negative, both positive and negative.
Yep.
And I started still having those like physical experiences that I would have. And then one day, I just have the word metaphysics come to my head. And then it just stayed there, like over and over again. I'm sitting at the Kingdom Hall. That's all I'm thinking about. And then I'm like, I need to do research. But then they don't allow you to do research outside of their library. So I went there and searched the word metaphysics in their library. Nothing. There was nothing there.
Wow.
About that. So I was like, that's weird, because they made me believe they have the absolute truth. They have everything that I can possibly think I need to know. And this word keeps coming to my mind, and there's nothing there. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have to go elsewhere. So I'm like, and I felt bad. I'm like, oh my God, I know I'm not supposed to do that, but I just have to do it. So I started like researching about metaphysics. And I mean, so many things happened, because my story is like a little complicated. So I probably sound like I'm jumping
Go for it.
around a lot. But so it's almost like there are so many different factors that were like pushing me. I had a very difficult childhood. Like I've been sexually abused by people in the congregation.
Mm-hmm.
It could be my father, friends of the family. And I had so many different experiences. Like I've been judged. My reputation has been ruined. People just create stories about me. And I mean, there's so many different things. And I ended up being in love with someone who was not a Jehovah's Witness. And I started questioning. So there are so many different things happening, plus these experiences. So it was extremely difficult, because this group of people, it's so hard to break free from that. It really is. And so all these things happening at the same time, I'm doing research out there, and I'm questioning things, and they're not giving me the right answers. And then there was one day I lie down, and I felt it almost like a violent shake, like my brain was in my stomach. Like I felt like I was gonna stop breathing. And I said, okay, stop. I don't know who you are, what you are, but I'm ready to listen. And I was 24 at that time.
Yep.
And ever since that day, I've never had this experience again. What I have is like a rush, a very soothing rush, like rush going through my body. Ever since that day, I never had, it kind of intensified. I'm like, okay, I hear you. I don't know who you are, what you are. I don't care if you say it or not. I'm ready to listen. And that was the beginning of my awakening.
Mm-hmm.
I started, and also I had my father. We had a very challenging relationship. He has a very difficult psychology, narcissistic traits, and all that. And so at that time, I'm like, I can't fake it. I just can't. I can't fake it. And my parents, both of them, they like, this is the truth. So if you ever leave, I know that this is the wrong choice for you, and then you are gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, like, oh no, I'm not really afraid of death. It's like I always felt like there is more. I couldn't put my like finger on it, but I'm like, I don't know, is that it? Like okay, I'm afraid of dying and that's it. I should just suffocate. Like because I can't, it just, I'm like, either way, I feel like I'm gonna die. So I'm like, I have to get out of this. But the pressure was so, there was so much pressure. I felt like, okay, I really want to keep my parents happy. And I tried to go along with it until I started being physically sick,
Mm-hmm.
getting sick, real sick. And I'm like, oh, okay, yes, I did say I'm going to listen to you, but I kind of delayed that. I guess it's time to really listen. So I'm like, I'm leaving my parents' house. I left my parents' house.
Yep.
And I would say, the next 3 years after that was the most challenging period, or one of the most, because I have multiple. One of the most challenging periods of my life. When I left, I started researching the Bible. I was very methodical in my approach. I didn't want to hear people's opinions about Jehovah's Witnesses or other things. I spent 6 months researching history books, this, that. I mean, I was just like, an hour every day researching. And then I had two lists. I have one list where I felt like they were like really interpretation, and another list where I felt like this makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, love my neighbor as myself. I should do unto others. Things like that. I'm like, so I had literally two lists, and I went through all of them, and I'm like, nope, that's an interpretation that makes sense, and I would call it like universal knowledge. That's what I put next to it, universal knowledge, and that's opinion. And I went through all of it, and at the end of it, I'm like, then what do you do with that? Like, well, I think I need to just create a new belief system for myself. That's what I need to do. And the elders now in the congregation called me because I told them, I am done with this. And the people I used to study the Bible with, and it's interesting, at that time, I still feel like people had the the right to make their own decisions. So even though I was breaking away from this, I felt like the people I would used to study with still had the right to keep going with that. So I told them, I'm going to leave, but if you choose to continue, just, contact so and so. And I told everybody the same thing, but I'm done. And I remember one of the elders said, so if you don't think that's the truth, why are you telling people to continue? I'm like, I'm not telling people to continue. I'm telling people to choose what they feel works for them. But as far as I'm concerned, it's not working for me anymore, and I need to leave. And they called me into a meeting. They came with their big Bible, sitting there, and then one of them asked me, what is the truth? And I'm like, if we're talking, and I had to learn so much more like later on, but I'm like, if we're talking about the truth, I would say something that can be altered. I mean, I cannot have 20 different versions of the truth. And he kind of like got stumped a little bit. And I felt like, I'm like, am I Jesus? Because I remember something.
Yeah.
Like, it was like, what is the truth? And then we kept on going. He started asking me questions, and I started like giving him all my points. And then he's like, So he tried to get me into opinions because they have something called apostate. So like anybody who doesn't agree, anybody who doesn't agree with their teachings, oh my God, you're the devil. People need to stay away from you. You'll be destroyed by God. So I knew all of this, and I had to make sure they don't put me in that category, because they would have people, even your parents, like not talk to you.
Yeah, no.
Like, so I'm like, I have to be very careful with that approach. And then they try to get me into like talking bad about the organization. I'm like, it's not about the organization. It's about the foundation of my belief system. And it's shaky because you're telling me to have the premise of my belief system is something I can't question. I can't question anything else, but the foundation of it, I have to accept it as the truth. And for me, that doesn't work. I have to be able to question it if it really is the truth. And they were sitting there like for like 2 hours. They didn't even open the Bible once. I was just going one by one of my points. And then one of them said, and then I try to like marry it with my experience. I'm like, I don't know what's out there, but there is more, because my experiences are telling me there is more. And you cannot help me. You tell me it's a devil. And I'm very confused because I've done everything possible. Why is the devil after me? That doesn't make any sense. So you can't help me, so I need to seek help elsewhere. And one of them said, we can help you. You need to help yourself. Thank you very much. And they like, we'll be in touch. We're going to do some research and pray. And it's been maybe a decade. I haven't heard from them since that day. Yeah, yeah. So that was like very like a decisive moment for me.
Mm, mm.
And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get out there. And I don't know what's out there. And what I realized was my sense of identity was basically whatever the belief system I had. So without it, I didn't know who I was. And I spent, I would say, about a year going through all these beliefs. And at some point, I thought I was going to lose my mind. I wouldn't talk to anybody because I didn't know who I was. I was lost. And I'm like, if I talk, people are going to think I lost my mind and I'm going to end up in an institution. So I would go to work, very withdrawn. I don't talk, and people like ask me a question. I lost a lot of weight. I wouldn't eat. It was so overwhelming. I mean, that's fast forward. I understand what the masters say, that it's better to have, incremental shifts than a big one, because that's what I had. I had a big one. I just let go. I'm like, this doesn't make sense, until I had nothing to hold on to. And I felt like I lost my mind. And I was just praying. I'm like, but I would still feel this rush, very soothing, steady rush. So that was my new friend. That was something that tells me I'm not alone. It's like whenever I felt, okay, I don't know, I'm lost, but then I would feel it. I'm like, okay, so I'm not alone. And one night I just lie down and I closed my eyes and I saw like a huge light coming, like approaching my face, and it was dark. And I'm like, what is this? I blurted out. What is this? And I started being comfortable with, you know, beyond what's beyond the physical. After that day, I'm like, okay, light, what is that? And it was so bright and it startled me. And then I'll keep wrestling, going through things and whatnot. And then one day, it was like a Sunday, and I was at that time. I'm listening to everything. I'm listening to The Secret. I'm listening to hypnotherapy. I'm like just different things at the same time. Mental healing, mental manifestation, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was just like, okay, there is a new world here, and I was different new age stuff and whatnot. And one day I was lying down. It was a Sunday morning, and I know I was still asleep. My eyes were closed, but I could still see like my surrounding. It was the sun. It was 7:06 actually, because my phone. I had my phone next to me, and I know I touched a screen. I know that, and I could see 7:06 on the screen. And I looked up and I saw like the sun, because my apartment at that time was facing east. So the sun coming up, and I look at my phone, 7:06. But then all of a sudden, I don't really feel my body. And I'm like, oh, that is weird. What's going on? In my head, I'm like, I know I touched my phone, but I didn't really touch my phone. So all of a sudden, I just felt like I'm leaving my body. Like it was at that time, I felt like I could be anywhere in the universe at the same time.
Uh-huh.
And I said, too much freedom. Keep taking too much freedom. I was like, I can't take it. And I snapped out of it. And I was like a zealot. I'm like, I wish everybody would have the experience. It would end all, everything that we're going through here on earth, it will just solve everything. We'll know that there is more. We are more. And I was just talking. So I have a couple of friends I would talk to. I have probably like two friends who kind of who understood me. And I would talk. And one of them were actually into spiritual stuff. And he would talk to me when I was really the Jehovah's Witness. Like I was really into it. And I'm like, I don't want to hear you. This is what they teach me. And then here I am now. I'm like, I had this experience. Let me tell you all about it. I felt like it could be anywhere in the universe at the same time. I can't explain it. And then he's like, all right, welcome. And because he's had so many, different experiences way before me. And that actually was the experience that carried me for a long time. I carried with me for a long time, and I held on to it. So that was, I would say, one of the pillars of my new belief system, if I can say it like that. Was the first tone that I'm like, okay, I'm going to hold on to that, and I can build, on that. And then I had multiple experiences. And then I found Joel Goldsmith teaching. So the first book that I read from him is The Foundation of Mysticism. When I read this book, it is very similar to some of the Ascended Master teachings that I found later on. Mm-hmm. But it was so different from anything else that I've learned so far, because, I was kind of like a control freak. I love the mental manifestation thing. Oh my God, yeah. I just imagine something and I visualize it with the right colors and whatever, and it would just manifest almost to like the accuracy is just like almost perfect, like perfect. And that would happen for a period. And until it stops happening, like it stopped happening, I couldn't manifest anymore. And I was confused. I'm like, what happened? And
Yeah.
around that time, I found the teachings of Joel Goldsmith, and I realized it was just an experience for me as part of my awakening to know there is more to my mind, but it wasn't meant to be something forever.
Yeah.
It just stopped completely. And then I started reading Joel Goldsmith teachings, and then he started talking about spiritual manifestation, surrender, all this stuff. Like, and then he was a metaphysical healer, and he would explain, like, when people come to him to for healing, he would say that I cannot heal you. I can just be an open door, and spirit can decide what to do. And because the very thing you think needs to be fixed actually is an opportunity for you to heal. You need to let it go in order to be who you truly mean to be. So all these things was so very different from what I've learned thus far.
Yeah.
And I really found in my apartment, and I'm like, I don't understand this stuff, but I'm willing to understand. I said that. I said it like that. And I kept on listening to it. I read different books, and there is one, I forgot the name of it, but it's The Way. Yes, I think it's The Way. That's one of the books, like different books. But so later on, when I started reading, and it talks about in the foundation of mysticism, nature of good and evil, very similar to what I've learned later on through the Ascended Master's teaching. So I kind of like, I stuck with it for a while. Like, I mean, I read all his books. I listened to all his, I don't want to say, he didn't call them dictations, but just courses basically that he would give. And I started working with that. And I started like working with metaphysical healing. Like I started like doing things, like trying to heal myself. And I've had some interesting experience with that. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. So I kept on going. A lot happened in between. And I ended up like trying other teachings. I was a Rosicrucian. I did Reiki healing. I did joined some other movements, and I was still missing something. And I was listening to Wayne Dyer one day, and he talked about the I am discourses. I'm like, oh, it's interesting. So I bought the books, green book. Okay, I started reading. I'm like, I don't like this stuff. I put it aside. I went back for my own thing, trying to figure out things. And I don't remember. I think I was yes, I remember. So I somehow stumbled upon the Summit Lighthouse. And then I started learning about Saint Germain. And I had a really strong reaction when I heard it was Christopher Columbus, because I'm from Haiti. And I know some like the Haitian history and with the Native Americans, and I had such a strong reaction to this. I'm like, oh, that can't. So I went and then sent like questions to Kim, but I don't think I sent it to the right email address. I never received a response, and I'm like, yeah, whatever. That can't be. But I kept it in my head, and I keep going back a little bit. It's almost like it keeps calling me, but I couldn't get past it. But even though I couldn't get past it, I still kept reading other things within the Summit Lighthouse. And I'm like, That's interesting. I don't know. So I kept going back and forth, back and forth. And I don't remember how I got on Ask Will Jesus. I have no idea. Until today, I have no clue. But I got there. And I started reading. And I'm like, oh, okay, that that is different. That is different. So I'm just, and some of the things I'm like, ooh, interesting. God, I read that. But I can't even tell anybody that because my God, some of the things, oh, blasphemy, what? You can't say things like that. So I just keep taking it all in. And yeah, and I just keep going through it. And at the same time, so 2019, I had like a severe depression. I was suicidal. And I had like really complicated relationships, one after the other. And I felt like I don't belong here. I'm like, nobody understands me here. Like, I felt like no matter what I do, I would be judged. I'm always judged. I'm always I'm always seen differently than actually I am. Like, people always see me as someone that I'm not.
Yeah.
And I've been trying to prove that no. Started with my father, like, since he would tell me that, I'm a good for nothing. I'm a hypocrite. I only care about, getting from others. Like, all these things, and I was a child growing up, it continued, and other people would just give me that same, uh, they have the same feelings about me, that I'm someone trying to, I don't know, hurt people or pretending. Yeah, that was the word. I'm always pretending. I'm not real, and I would have a very strong reaction to that. Like, if someone questioned my motive, it would just send me into a vortex.
Mm.
I mean, very, very strong reaction to that. Because I feel like I'm like, my heart, I don't really try to hide anything. I don't try to, I wouldn't even be able to do it even if I wanted to. I can't try to hide one part of me and manipulate. I just can't do it. It's too much work for me anyways. It is what it is. If I mess up, I mess up. You want to kill me, but I'm sorry. I will try not to do it again, but it is what it is. That's kind of like the way I've been all my life. But at the people would say that I'm pretending. I'm pretending to be a nice person. I'm pretending this. I'm pretending that. And I would have it from in all different contexts, different relationships. And in 2019, I was like, okay, that's enough. I don't belong here. I remember I said that. I don't belong here.
Yeah.
I don't I'm from here. These are not my people. I did say, and I did feel that from my core. And I'm like, yes, I need to exit. And it started getting really bad. And I never really understood why people commit suicide. I never judged it. I just couldn't relate to it until I went through that. I couldn't turn it off. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. I couldn't work. I was crying nonstop. And I'm like, I need to end my misery. And one day, I went online looking for the best way to die. Because I just I didn't want pain. I'm a wimp. I don't like pain. So, so I was trying to find, the easiest, less painful way to die. And I couldn't find like a guarantee from anything. But of course, I was directed to the suicide hotline. Like, I'm determined. I'm doing this thing today. So, but I was physically weak because I didn't eat for so long. And, I was in bed doing my research, and then I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I still have it in my head. I'm like, okay, let me put my stuff in order first because I need to assign everything to my mother at that time. And I'm living in Massachusetts. They were in Florida at that time. And I'm like, I'm just gonna assign everything to her. And as I'm doing that, she called me. And my mother, she's like, I don't think she said hello. I don't remember. I only remember she said, don't hurt yourself.
Mm.
If you need to talk to someone, don't hurt yourself. And she hung up.
Wow.
I was so confused. And until today, she said she doesn't remember anything. She doesn't know what I'm talking about. I was so confused, shocked. I don't even know what the word is. I just like stopped. I was just staring at the computer. And I don't know. It's like the world stopped. I just couldn't make sense of it. And I'm like, am I hallucinating? Was it my mom? I remember I looked at my phone. I'm like, what's going on? I didn't tell anybody. She didn't even talk to me like a normal conversation. It was just like a message, like not even a message. It's like an order. Don't hurt yourself. If you need to talk to someone, talk to someone. Don't hurt yourself. That was it. And then she hung up. And like, that's not my mom. That's not the way my mom talks to me. And I stayed in bed until the next day. In my room, I had like a skyline so I could see outside. And it was the most beautiful day ever. Cloudless sky, very sunny, and I had trees. I mean, it was so beautiful, and I started crying. I'm like, there is always hope. There's always hope. And I called a friend of mine, and he's like, okay, yeah, time for therapy. I'm like, okay, fine. I'm going to therapy. We're going to therapy. And then I started taking dance class, and then I started Kim's teaching. So I started the path of the seventh veil. I was doing all of this, and I was still part of the Rosicrucian movement and some other movement. And I'm like, no, I don't have time for this. I need to just focus on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent about, I would say, a year in therapy while doing all these other things. Like I was giving invocations every day, every night. I mean, every morning, every night. Take a lot of time, self-reflect and all this stuff. And I think 11 months. And after 11 months, I'm like, okay, I think I'm okay. I'm good. And the therapist was like, no, you're not. You just about to get started. I'm like, no, because I'm doing other things other than that, and I feel okay. And he's like, what do you mean? What other things? I'm like, spiritual work and other personal development work. And I was doing Reiki healing at that time as well. I was doing so many different things. And I think I'll take it from there. And he totally disagreed. And I'm like, yeah, bye. So I left, and then I just continued with the Ascended Master's teaching, and with Reiki healing for a while, until I kind of like stopped Reiki healing and kind of like branch into some other things. But yes, oh my God, I did talk a lot.
Yeah, I know. I'm just like looking at the time going, oh, it's all good though.
Yeah. But
it's
yeah,
all the picture. Like it's all important, every part of it. So yeah.
yeah. Ooh, I didn't realize I was going to talk that much. That's way too. Sorry.
Yeah, but wow, that's enormous. And so, do you feel like, you've dropped that trauma that had you, on the edge of,
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had so many I would say mini awakening.
mm,
It's just like every time I think, okay, I'm done with that, I've transcended that, and then something else will present itself. But I can tell you, it's getting easier. So it gets easier each time. Um, and it's just like second nature now. Okay, let's look what's going on in the mind right now. Like, what are those separate cells and trauma and whatnot? Yes.
yeah, it's so important to just like, just look it in the face and just, you know, and it's like, right, here's my opportunity. I'm just going to focus on this and see it right through. And then, that lovely experience, like, sometimes you get a really distinct experience of it just drops away and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah. And then, but, never rest on your laurels. It's like, right, next.
Yes, yes, yes. I mean, I have so many of those, so many of those.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful, really. And sometimes I just feel so overwhelmed with gratitude.
Yeah.
And it's like, my God, if I didn't have the master's assistance, like, how would that even be possible?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just like, my goodness, like, because it's, as they say, it's a catch 22. It's like the belief that keeps you trapped cannot free you.
Mm.
And that's the filter you are looking through. So there is no way you can free yourself without, something outside of that filter. And oh, I am so grateful, really. I really am, for the Ascended Master's teachings. I'm really grateful for Kim being the open door and all other Ascended Masters, teachers or on Earth, like throughout the ages, because it's like a chain, right? It's like you kind of build on what was done before you, and you keep building on it, and everybody in that hierarchy. I don't know if the hierarchy is the right lineage, basically.
Yep.
It's a lineage of ascended masters, students and teachers and chelas, whatever you call it, people who are really willing to be open doors and grow and transcend themselves, and make it easier for other people,
Yeah.
to join the path. So
Yeah. Like I used to think that creativity was like making something, like creating something out there, and it is, but to me now it's co-creativity. Like, when you just go, all right, there's an issue here, let's do it. And then it's such a co-creative experience because it's as much about you tuning into like where to go, who you're working with, which teaching, which invocation. I don't know. There's so beautiful. And also, at the horizontal too, like I love that experience when someone comes along and they just say something that just, that'll just point you in the right direction
yeah,
too. And
yeah, yeah, indeed, indeed, yes.
yeah. So because we're just on the other side of the US election, I thought it'd be good if you could just share a bit about, like, how you worked through your initial reaction with that, which I'm sure it's a reaction that, most avatars, most people in the teachings had, which was the expectation that, like, this wasn't going to be the outcome. So, yeah, just share your reflections, please.
Of course, of course. Yeah, so I have to say that I've been really working on being neutral. So I really heard that, and I've been working on it. And not just for the elections or the political stuff, but in my personal life. Like, I've been really working on this. It's been something I've been working on. And when it happened, so the night I felt like it was going that way, and I felt nervous, and I breathed, and I said, it is gonna be what it's gonna be. I'm just gonna go to sleep. When I woke up the next day, I felt something. I didn't check anything yet, but I just felt something, and I'm like, okay, I need to center myself. And, excuse me, I gave some decrease of Saint Germain, and I looked at it. But before like the night, I'm like, if that many people voted for him, then I feel like they need that opportunity to see how it, what are the results. And so when I saw that, when I checked the results, that's what it is. And I'm like, okay, you know what? It is an opportunity for me, and hopefully for all Ethnic Master students, to walk their talk. So, like, I've been saying, yes, I'm working on being neutral. Now I have the opportunity to really be neutral. And what is it going to be? And I really tuned in myself, and I said, it's not a loss. It's an experience that we all can grow from. The people from the different parties and in between, spiritual people, creative people, everybody can find something in this to learn. And I'm like, I'm gonna do that myself. And I pray that others take that opportunity to learn and grow from this. And I'm like, now people have the chance to see whether whatever they believed in will be reality, and we'll just go through it. But at the end of the day, I'm like, if we could get that far working with the Ascended Masters, that shouldn't be a setback that can't be repaired. So regardless of what happens, if we could get that far from where we were, like the state of awareness for so many millennia, I would say, and we are here today, we're still working with the masters. I mean, we've gone through dark ages before, and we are in the upward spiral now. So it's like nothing is really irredeemable. So, and maybe he himself, I don't know, would probably learn something. Who knows? I don't know. People around him will learn something. And I've been, even in my personal life, being challenged to. I used to be like, people can't change, or people can't learn, or whatever you are, that's what you are. You showed me your true colors, and that's what I'm sticking to. And over again, that has been challenged. I've been put in a situation where I had to revisit that. And I'm like, even though people may not change the way I think change is supposed to happen, but I'm not in their mind. They might have something going on into their mind that is like a step further than where they were. And that's growth. That's positive. And I'm just like, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with giving people the opportunity to experience the outcome of their choices. And that's how we all learn anyways. So
yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, we've all been there. We've been in the school of hard knocks. You've talked about yours, and look at where it takes us. It's just fine. It's just fine. Yeah, and it's kind of like, I think the lesson is like, when we hold on to, and this is a very Avatar type thing of holding on to an attachment to people changing, like it's attachment to it that's the killer for us. And
yes, and I said to myself yesterday, that's the path of the ascension, to let go.
Yeah.
And ascended masters had to do that in order to ascend. They had to be okay holding the balance, holding the maintaining the immaculate vision, and still allow people to make their own choices if they choose to go through the school of hard knocks. So it is. But they still there, and they have to get to that point. And if I am on the path of the ascension, then I have to do that too. That's the only way actually I can ascend, by really letting go and accepting free will for what it is in this reality. I mean, to me personally, that's one of the lessons I put in my divine plan to learn. Like total acceptance of free will. It's absolute here. And I have to accept that, not like resisting, fighting it, just really surrendered. Like this is okay. Just like people have the right to breathe, it's just the same as free will. It's for free will. It's like they have the, and I remember at one time I had to repeat that mantra in my head because I really had a hard time accepting that. And I think that was a great opportunity for me to learn that. And I'm at peace. I really am at peace with the outcome. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I can really feel it. It's lovely. But isn't it, it's just such a joy to sort of, really step into that. I remember I went through the same experience with free will. That was my key, and it was so hard until, you just get to the point of realizing, you know what, who am I to try and impose how someone else goes about their journey? It may take them lifetimes. Like, just step back, let it be, let them be.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also our own free will, like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. It's great lessons all around.
Yeah, and we've been given such an incredible foundation over the years through the teachings with Kim that, we're here now, and there's a lot of people who are sort of, I think resonating with what you're saying right now, particularly in America, who are just sort of finding that in themselves. It's kind of like, the foundation's been laid. It's like, it's okay, we know what to do, and,
Yes. Yes. And I keep saying that. I'm like, the masters have done a wonderful job with us,
yes,
preparing us for this initiation. And I really see it as an initiation. It really is a golden opportunity. I did say that to myself. I'm like, that is the opportunity to transcend any remnant of that momentum in our psyche. That momentum of being attached to a particular result. And there was such a collective whole when it comes to the results. Like, one group, there was a big group that was expecting one thing, and the other group expecting another thing, and you could feel that magnetic pull, even though you try to stay neutral. But it's like you kind of. And yesterday when I went to work, I was so at peace. I walked into one of my coworkers' office, and she looked like she just got hit. And I'm like, "How you doing?" I was so like, her. And then she looked at me like, "Are you okay? Why are you so?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, I understand." And she was like, I was so like peace with it, and I could feel like, oh my God, yeah, maybe I shouldn't be. I know I should be whoever I am, but it was just like it could feel a difference, and I'm like, oh yes, I'm like, right, and I'm like, okay, we just cannot breathe. There's another day, and she's like, I'm not okay. I have to tell you, I'm not okay. And I'm like, that's okay to acknowledge that, but in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, she probably thinks, I'm just, what's going on with her? Why is she so happy and at peace as if nothing happened? And in my own psyche, nothing really happened in terms of this, it's the end of the world kind of thing. It's just another experience we're going through, but I just couldn't say any of that. So I just had to acknowledge her feeling, and I was like, oops, okay, well, let's just breathe. And then I just went, but yeah, I could see around the office, people were really like, they were sad. A lot of people were sad. I don't think angry. It was just like sad.
Yeah.
I was just spreading like,
yeah. And see, the thing is, I really don't think that the opportunity for the people who voted for Trump to resolve their psychology, I actually don't think they'd have the opportunity to resolve it if the election had gone to the Democrats. I really, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
just be still attached and still believing something that's an illusion. So we need the illusion, it's got to be brought up and everyone can see it. Like,
yeah. I'm like, let's get this thing settled, because they would say, oh, COVID year was like a one-off. He never really got the chance. Nobody dealt with that before him in the century. Yada yada yada. Okay, fine. Here is another opportunity. So just do your thing, and now you have the opportunity to own up, you know, to whatever you believed in, and see what the outcomes are. And that's the only way they can, I'm like, let's get this thing settled. Because there are too many people. They would just, oh my God, it would be torture to go through this next 4 years with people having certain understanding of this whole situation. So
yeah. Like, a teaching from, I can't even remember who, maybe Saint Germain, was put onto the site today, and it was just sort of saying that the benevolent narcissist that he is, like, it's just everything he's promised, it's not going to, he's not going to be able to deliver. So, it's just going to play out, like, just like this big movie, like, just watch it all, like the self-destruct button get hit, and let it happen.
I do. I totally believe that. I totally believe that. And I'm like, it's gonna be a bumpy ride, but you know what? Let's get through it. But because, and I always say that the only way out is through. So we just gonna have to go through it to get out of it, and just buckle up and just work on our psychology. That's what we can do, and then
I'm hanging on to my lifeline.
yes, and connect with each other, and support each other, and just gonna go through it. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it's well and truly time for us to close now. Like, thanks so much, Angel. Like, just so wonderful to hear your story and to experience your presence. Thank you for bringing.
Thank you for the opportunity and for bearing with me.
Nothing to bear. It's been lovely to just listen to the whole of your story, and I guarantee you lots of people will feel the same way. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Bye, viewers.
Bye. Thank you so much. Hugs. Bye.